Shumway?
Here.
Mr. Warndorf?
Yes.
First topic on the agenda is approve or amend the meeting minutes from last month's meeting.
I had one amendment. And it was in regards to Beartown Reservation. On page 10 of the minutes. It's Mrs. Shumway requested Natural Resource Management review the possibility of trapping raccoons at Beartown Lakes to determine if it would help bring, it says, the turtles and the ducks back to the area. It's possible trapping of turtles and raccoons so that the ducks return. Paul, you knew what I meant, right?
Sorry, what did I say?
We're gonna look at possibly trapping raccoons and turtles to protect the ducks, that there's still no ducks on the lakes.
Oh, you're gonna trap turtles in.
Paul's gonna check it out. He's the expert
so
to say
it's
what the problem is, but
Trapping raccoons and turtles.
possibly. With that said, I had no other.
I don't need it. I move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Mr. Gertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Shumway?
Yes.
Mr. Warndorf?
Yes.
All right, next item is volunteer of the month, and that is Ted Berman. Is Ted here?
I am here.
All right, great.
Come on, I'm still productive.
I always enjoy giving an award to a volunteer. Volunteers, as far as I'm concerned, are the backbone of this country. World War II, I joined an organization that was strictly volunteer. And today's Army, Navy, Marines, I don't think they're all volunteers. And they're given, that's the last thing you can do, fellas. You can't give any more than that. But Ted Berman, I'm setting you up for this. So. Volunteer of the month of June. Ted is a loyal member of the Volunteer Bike Patrol riding on Maple Highlands Trail. One afternoon of June 7th, 2015, Ted was patrolling the trail when he came upon an injured rider near Stillwell Road. The young man had flipped over the handlebars of his bike and suffered a broken arm and multiple scrapes, gashes on his arms, legs, and back. Luckily, he had been wearing a helmet. Ted was the first person on the scene to call 911. With the medical supplies on his bike, he provided first aid until EMS arrived. The incident is one of the reasons we have the Volunteer Bike Patrol. Thanks to Ted Berman for acting quickly and caring for the injured cyclist.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Patrol Ranger, I should say, Denise, for submitting my name for this. It was a big surprise. Very happy to receive it. Thank you. I'm just glad I'm biking anywhere. I like to get some exercise when I can, so it kind of doubles up. So I can help when I come across somebody. We never want to come across somebody like that, of course, but if I can help, I'm surely glad to do it. I just had a little bit of outside emergency care training with the ski patrol at Alpine, so I just carry it along with me now. But I'm not a patroller over there, I'm just patrolling on the trail. So I love the bike trail. Let me just say a quick word about that. Our property actually butted up against the bike trail, and when it was the old railroad, and they had talks about the power lines coming through there, we were leery that that wouldn't be a good thing. And then we heard about the bike trail, and we're thinking, maybe the same thing. Well, we were 100% wrong. It's a beautiful trail. Nobody's ever came through the swamp area that we were afraid of initially, and it's just a great trail. So I'm happy to be part of it. Thank you.
We have some representatives here from Riders Express 4-H Club. Can you please come forward? Anybody? Nobody. Well, the district would like to recognize them, Riders, RIDERS, Express 4-H Club, as a partner in conservation. The club helped to rejuvenate the prairie gardening at Prairie Meadows Park by removing the invasive plant species. The native wildflowers and plants will now have an opportunity to thrive. This garden is enjoyed by all who visit the park. This club has genuinely reflected the 4-H pledge to dedicate their hands to larger service for their community, their country, and their world. And you may remember I made some comments several months ago about how the quality of the prairie garden had deteriorated. But that's been some time ago, and I was there recently, and it's in great shape now, thanks to these folks. So we wanted to recognize them, and I'm sorry they're not here this evening. Thank you.
All right, next up is open to the public.
Anyone? Yes.
Hello, Ed Buckles, Troy Township. First, just an invitation. As some of you know, I'm going to give some form of a presentation that I would have given to this group, but I'm going to do it now after this meeting concludes in the shelter just across the way, so everyone is welcome. And we look forward to seeing you there. I'd like to note that the board's action in hiring Mr. Orris as executive director without interviewing other candidates was disgraceful. They cheated Mr. Orris by not allowing him to compete successfully against others, so he must feel some clout in his appointment. They cheated the staff in knowing that they have the best leadership available. They said to the public that this position is not important enough for a true search for leadership. They said to all that concerned that this board does not take its responsibility seriously, and it appears to many in the community that under the Honorable Judge Prindell's stewardship, the fix is in. Along those lines, of the fix being in, we looked at the proposed budget that was a part of the packet. We have had a discussion with the auditor, and it appears that we are being set up for another levy suspension. There is no outline of what projects are underway. There's no outline of what projects are due to be completed. There's no outline of what projects are due to be completed when over the next several years, which is typical budget procedure. And Ms. Vanell is very familiar with the procedure. And so this appears to be more deliberate than accidental. We also had, and Mr. Eula has said that he was going to look for projects, and he's going to look for completion, and he's going to look for completion dates, and he's going to look to see how progress is being made over time. And if he doesn't see it, the commission will not approve it. And so we are being set up again for another levy suspension. Moreover, we had a CPA look at the proposed budget, and just to summarize, he said it's difficult to overall fully understand with the cost increases and adjustments for the simple reason that everything is grouped by totals. Land acquisition is 1.5 in 2013, but only 500,000 in 2016. The same applies for other items on the spreadsheet. Hospitalization jumps from 538 to 699, a huge increase. What is the reason? More employees, increasing costs, or both? Are these changes in current costs, or are these costs associated with past commitments to those retired? Items for retired employees and prior contracts. Contract services from 581 to 760, equal high percentage increase without explanation. Labor went from 2.9 to 3.1, which means that some labor and employees are still being paid, and I assume staff that size is the same. So what is the increase in contract labor? One would think that privatization would account for the increase in this magnitude, but labor costs remain the same rather than fall due to privatization. This is a contradiction, and so we're missing something. Another question is under the Executive Administration, EAD, 2013 cost for 522 and 2016, 461 for the entire area. That's very strange increases. Again, you're planning on voting on the budget that doesn't have any detail going forward. And then we are deeply disturbed by a recent interview that Mr. McHugh gave to the News Herald, in which he said that the park would not be looking to expand, that they are going to develop current park properties, and that there is an evaluation being done to allow private vendors the concession to rent canoes and kayaks at headwaters. Is this the new direction of the parks? Because that discussion was held back in January. Mr. Gertz asked that question and was told that this would be handled internally. We were told back last September when we complained about the suspension of the levy that no projects would be suspended, everything was going forward, but the Elder and Horse Path continues not to have any progress being made on it. And that was a project that was supposed to be basically completed this year under the old budget. The budget process is a setup, and this board is not taking its fiduciary duties seriously. Thank you.
Mr. Buckles, I'd like to say one thing to you, and I think that you're a friend of mine. But most of your statements today were either assumptions or non-conclusions. There's no real fact to back them. In fact, this budget that we have to pass today is just a preliminary. The formal budget will come later, and that will be the most extensive. Everything will be out.
The budget is due in the auditor's office within the next couple of weeks.
That's right.
And the auditor told me that he was looking for detail and projects and things he can trace. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'm happy to continue to follow
We
that.
have to tonight put him on notice that it's coming.
Yes, and
That's as simple as I can say.
and I will continue to follow what is the budget process. But what I see right now says that there are no projects detailed, and this budget does not look anything like what past budgets did at this point in time.
Well, let's wait till the real budget comes.
I'm happy to wait. I just want you to know that we're watching.
I have no reason to believe that we're gonna ask for an increase in the levy.
I'm not
That's
asking-
an assumption.
I don't want an increase in the levy. I want the levy left alone.
That's exactly right. I think we do too.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Yeah. John, let the lady go first, okay? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I've been disappointed lately that there haven't been any large projects for a long time.
Excuse me, ma'am, can you come up to the podium so we can all hear, because some people might not be able to hear.
I just wanted to say that I've been a little disappointed, can you hear me now? It's not very good. I've been a little disappointed with the lack of large projects. I have 16 grandchildren, and we have availed ourselves of all the big projects and programs you've had. For instance, at Westwoods, they had the one with the nocturnal animals, and it was outstanding. And I just haven't seen anything of that magnitude for a long time. And I'm a little disappointed. I think that we do spend a lot of money on our park, and I think that perhaps all the changes have stopped projects from going forward, but I think that I see in the bulletin that comes maybe the same type of things year after year after year, and I think we could be a little more innovative. I would like to see that.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, are you suggesting projects or programs?
Programs.
Okay, sorry, okay.
Sorry if I used the wrong word.
It's okay, I was thinking, wow, we've had some major projects this year, but okay.
Well, I know that the public are involved in that we're developing our young people for those kind of things.
Okay.
So that's my statement. The other thing I was disappointed in was that they took the downstairs, they used to have downstairs a big room where you could bring children and you could do puzzles and you could read things and you could look at things and the puppet theater, similar to what they have at Westwood. And then one time we came with our younger grandchildren and all of a sudden it was a meeting room. So I was disappointed in it. I thought that was some place that you could take children in the winter when there's no place else to go. We used to go to the Westwoods, we used to come here, and it was something to do in the winter when we were all closeted into our caves, and it was kind of nice. So thank you, that's what I have to say. My name is Sally Cermak, and I'm from Chesterland.
Okay, John Augustine. Thank you, Sally.
I just have a couple. My name is John Augustine, I'm a Parkman Township resident. One thing I'd like to mention, last month, I was rather pleased Mr. Orioles mentioned the suggestion about putting something he was requesting. He was talking about getting donations to put underpasses under one or more road areas where there's a problem, where there might be a problem with animals getting squashed by vehicles. And I thought it was good that there was a concern about that, but I'm kind of wondering why that's the sort of thing that should be put in the budget. That we don't have to hold a tin can out trying to get donations for that. The park was in the forefront this last year of requesting a budget suspension, and with that money that was suspended, things like those are the sort of things that should be done as a priority. Conservation of threatened or endangered species, even species that aren't threatened, trying to protect them a little bit better. It seems like there's money budgeted, hundreds of thousands of dollars for playground equipment, but yet that's the sort of thing that money doesn't. Was there talk about budgeting for that?
Do you know, John, to be honest with you, just so that you know, this was not brought to the attention of the staff until the last meeting.
Was nobody?
No, it was someone within the park that came up with it at the last meeting.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is many organizations feel an audit committee is a good thing to have in the park district, have an audit committee. Is that still, does that audit committee still exist? And are they planning on meeting, or what is the state?
With the state auditor regarding.
No, this is not the state auditor. This is an audit.
Talking with the state auditor regarding.
So,
whether or not we will be continuing it.
are you going to, or do you?
We're talking with the state auditor.
So you don't know. You're not sure what you want to.
John, just go ahead, please, just go ahead and finish your comments. I want to remind you folks, if I could, we will take your comments into consideration, but it's really not fair to sit here and cross-examine our staff and request answers that we simply don't have, and ask questions where we simply don't have answers, or it's under consideration. It's just not fair. This is, the purpose of this meeting is to conduct park business. You're welcome to comment on a variety of topics, but please give me and the staff and board time to consider these matters. Thank you.
Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have time to consider it. I'm just asking, you know what I mean?
And go
If you
ahead.
don't know, you can say so. You know what I mean? That's perfectly fair.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, John was the last. Yeah, go ahead. This is good.
I'm Barb Farthington, Munson Township. I just want to clarify something as a little bit of a follow-up from Ed's budget question. Mr. Gertz, you said that what's going to be voted on today is the preliminary budget, which I understand, but you said that prior to when the auditor needs the actual budget, there's gonna be another discussion here. And my question is, when, will that happen at the next park board meeting, or will there be a special meeting in order to get it in by the timeline?
I can't answer that, I don't know.
I was gonna say, all these questions, I have to say that, I understand you all concerned, but at the same time, you probably don't realize that you all are really significantly undermining our finance person at the park, who's run finances and the budgets for years. And you might not think so, but she has all the answers, and she's been doing the finance, and she knows precisely what the auditor needs. So for us to answer, we're not the finance person, Michelle is, and you're kind of putting her on cross-examination. So perhaps we should let her answer the finance questions, and I will ask Michelle to address some of these questions you all have in regards to how the audit goes.
My question was not about the audit, it's about the park budget, the actual budget, the big one, not the preliminary budget. I'm asking if it's going to be at
I'd have
the
to
next
answer
meeting
that.
or
I'd
another
say
meeting.
it's probably gonna come at the next meeting.
We're approving the budget. The 2016 budget that will be in place at January 1st will be approved at this meeting. We will make amendments to this budget from here on out. The first amendment that we will make will be a detailed amendment. That is what Mr. Willis is talking about. That detailed amendment will be the amendment that you will be looking for, that will include the line items that we've been requested numerous times in budget, public requests. Those detailed line items will not come until the first amendment.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I think that it makes everybody aware that the public is very interested in the line items. We're really interested in knowing how the money's allocated from
As
year
far
to
as,
year. So,
are we fulfilling the auditor? Yes, we are absolutely in line with the auditor and what the auditor requests. The auditor only requires us to do fund and a line item for, say, materials. That's it. We, at that point, internally take this document and make it much more detailed. That's our personal and our departmental request to do so. The auditor does not track that document to the detail that we do. Therefore, they don't track it at the auditor's office to that detail, so we only turn in to the detail that they require. So this document is only, that's turned into the auditor, is only to the detail that they need, which is only to materials. It is not to the line items that you are familiar with when you see our 2015 budget, which is a much greater detailed budget. That doesn't come into our amendments because the auditor doesn't require that particular document.
okay, thank you.
It wasn't accomplished last year.
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
To answer your question a little further, when I first got put on the board, one of the first things I did was to take the budget and completely study it. And I found it to be as accurate as any budget I've ever seen. So, I mean, you people know everything that's in there. There's
Right.
nothing hidden in it.
I don't doubt the accuracy. I'm looking for the upcoming budget, which is, it usually comes out this time of year.
Hi, Kathy, I'm Patty. I'm from Chardon Township. And first of all, I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry. I don't think that we mean to make anybody feel uncomfortable with taking any of this personally. My understanding is that the public, the open meetings are specifically for public to ask questions and get those questions noted on record. And it's, as it's one of our only opportunities to do that, sometimes we have to ask the questions and sometimes they sound a little harsh. And I'm very sorry about that. And I don't think anybody means to insult the staff. I'm very sorry about that. I did have one question though about the survey. And in the survey, back on page 42, the most important things that were listed there was protect wildlife habitat, protect the top four, were protect wildlife habitat, protect areas of natural beauty, protect watershed and groundwater quality, and preserve open space. And so I just wondered, I wanted to make sure that at some point the board was going to look over that survey in depth and in the light of public scrutiny and look at what that said. And I wondered when that might happen. And you don't need to answer that right now. I wanted to get that question out there. So thank you.
how's it going today? I've been listening to some of the comments, so I just wanted to address some of those. In regards to you having material, 16 grandchildren, first of all, congratulations. Second of all, I'm not sure if you were aware, but this past winter there was a rather large program called Frozen Fest that was, I believe, rather would have been right up the alley for your grandchildren. So. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, right up the alley for those that were looking to play with puzzles and stuff. So I would recommend that heavily. But I'm glad that you brought up some things that you were disappointed about, because that would be a great time for me to address the things that I've been disappointed about. I've been really disappointed, even though I haven't made it to some of the meetings, reading some of the park board minutes and some of the comments that strongly suggest that there might be a group of people, whether that be age, gender, whatever, that aren't wanted in the parks. And I found that rather disturbing, that many comments, if you go back and read those minutes, seem to insinuate that. So that's kind of disturbing for a county park. The other thing that I was very disappointed in is to hear that a rational, regular public meeting couldn't take place without assault and batteries happening outside. That's kind of sad. So, I mean, I really think this has gotten well past what the purpose of these meetings in this board is supposed to be. The purpose of this is supposed to create a way that as many residents of Geauga County as possible can enjoy the parks in as many ways as possible. Enjoying nature is what a park's about. It's not about simply having a bench that you can go sit on, sit there, and that's it. That is for one class of people to enjoy a park. And I'm really excited to hear when the budget comes out and when they have all the itemized lists, what they're actually going to do in order to help more people enjoy the park. Thank you.
Here at my Auburn Township.
Shelley Turner in Russell Township. As a member of the public who's really dumb about budgets, I think my concern is that the levy was suspended last year, and I don't want to see it happen again. Last month at the board meeting, the board recognized its moral commitment to Bass Lake residents based on handshake agreement that was entered into before many of us were born. In a similar way, I think the residents of Geauga County were looking to the future when they established the Geauga Park District more than 50 years ago to preserve, conserve, and protect the natural beauty of Geauga County and the vital resources of clean air and clean water. Geauga residents have supported this commitment to conservation over the decades by voting to pass park levies. And our commitment was again shown by the results of the survey. A successful park levy is a virtual handshake with the voters of Geauga County. We don't want our money back. We want you, our park commissioners, to honor our trust by using our tax dollars to support the park's founding mission. We want you to be proactive and creative in supporting the work of your conservation and natural resource staff. We want you to help maintain the rural character of Geauga County by purchasing available natural areas before they disappear. That's the voice of Geauga voters speaking. When you take an